80% or more of interviewing teams don't have culture fit defined. And so there's a lot of, I know it when I see it, there's a lot of bias, culture fit. For example, I've worked with organizations that focus on, sport, focus on gaming, organizations that are well known, they're amazing companies that hire great people, but there are teams, no surprise, inside a lot of companies that maybe just have a bias for the gender of the person that means culture fit, right? I mean, the kind of people that might be playing football, soccer, you might think of hiring only male folks to do that because you're going to make an assumption that maybe women aren't as involved. Or in the world of gaming, similar kind of things. There's an assumption around who plays your games or who the market is. And so that's really shifting. So anyways, culture fit is in the United States, and I would say in many kind of big technology companies, is being replaced with this notion of culture add. And so people are starting to look at more, what does this person bring that we don't have? Back in the context of the chief marketing officer who said, I want to challenge your mindset. I want someone that's going to bring something we don't have. But that, to me, if you talk about kind of, crawling, walking, running, that's kind of running level sophistication around the thing we used to call culture fit. The basic of culture fit is still a problem. And for a lot of organizations, they have values, they have maybe a competency model. We try to help companies pull from what exists already. What are the behaviors that you reward? What are the behaviors you punish in your company? How do we make sure that interviewers are not using generic terms like culture fit? And we're forcing them to break down into this kind of what makes someone successful at your company, to try and break that down into specific behaviors. And so those behaviors that we see all the time, for example, are you adaptable? Right? A lot of people are like, I'm not sure she would be or he would be a great culture fit because are they going to move at our pace? Are they going to be able to handle the change here? We make an assumption about the company you worked at. We make an assumption based on your age. And we decide, you aren't going to be a good culture fit. We need to dig into that. We need to give people questions and evaluate whether or not they can adapt fast enough. Understand what culture fit is going into an interview. It's a little late to ask them about it kind of at the end of the debrief in the conversation we are making a decision. They need to go in knowing that they're focusing on adaptability or collaboration or customer focus or learning agility or the ability to kind of build an inclusive, diverse environment. What are they doing to make people feel inclusive as a leader? We need to have these kinds of things very well articulated early on in the process so that people are focused on them. So my question to debrief isn't, do you think she's a good culture fit? My question is, what evidence did you get that she would be adaptable?
Exactly.
What evidence did you get that she would be collaborative? And really focus on evidence and really get more specific. So culture fit, if I were running a debrief today, we would never say the term culture fit. We might talk about culture add, something they're going to bring that we don't have to complement our team, but we're not using generic terms like that. We've built out competency models for all kinds of companies. A lot of our clients hire us to do that kind of work. And it's really interesting because I would say 70-80% of what companies are looking for are the same across culture. So we talk a lot about our cultures being very unique, very different. I would say 70-80% of what hiring managers tell us they want the same 5 or 6 characteristics, 5 or 6 behaviors in every candidate. And flexibility, adaptability, dealing with ambiguity, whatever you want to call that one, that is probably one of the most important, if not the most heavily weighted. And then there's one that's it's kind of hard to call it a competency, but rather than saying smart, we see a lot of organizations focus on problem solvers. Right? They don't want people that just can point out problems. They want people that can solve problems. So that's usually how smart shows up, is in a more practical, non-academic way, more in a, can this person come in here and help us solve the problems we're interested in solving? And so I'd say adaptability, problem solving, collaboration, those 3 we see together very, very frequently across retailers, financial services, tech, manufacturing. We see those just very, very common. Yeah.